Hi everybody, this is Dave Whiteman. I'm the CEO of a company called Reclamation Games. It's on the screen. We're making a game called Reina Jericho, and I'm going to try, especially at the start, to sort of give the game some time to breathe, so I'm going to take breaks from commentary, even though there's a lot I want to get to, and we won't have time to say it all. I don't want to be competing with our wonderful voice actors and that sort of thing. There's a demo available on Steam right now. Since we're still bringing in voice acting, it's not going to be there, but it's going to be largely similar to what you see here. There's 3 main game modes. I'll talk about most of them later, but what we're going to show today is story mode, which is the main mode of the game, but we have specialized modes for speedrunning and randomizers as well. And yeah, we'll talk about all those little options. For now, Rayna's in trouble. Thought it would be kind of fun for this to be the way the player learns to play the game, is like they're being ordered around.
When I say walk, you walk. Got it? Get moving.
Where are we?
You're on Mount Erebus in a little hideaway belonging to Eli Faust.
Where are you taking me?
You get Milzer.
Is that where the other prisoner was taken?
Now how's a girl who doesn't even know
Like I said, Rayna's in trouble.
any of that? I knew it wasn't a coincidence we found you right after we grabbed the traitor. What do you know about Jericho?
We'll cut ahead. Rayna's gonna finally get free from this guard, steals a security key.
You just made him.
And now the game begins properly. We get some more driving music, and we can finally start exploring. You can see Rayna, this is not Samus. She is physically smaller and weaker than every single other character in the entire game. She's scrappy, she's resourceful, and she can find some stuff to help, but she is not some powerhouse. She does not even really know what's going on, and that's actually going to be her biggest liability throughout the game. And a good chunk is figuring out what's going on.
Pretty hard to run from someone who knows the place better than you. Don't even think about it. Quit screwing around and get over here now.
Alright, this is our first moment of combat. It was really important to me that the game be playable by people who just button mash, but for it to have a really high degree of extensibility for people with higher skill levels.
I have no idea. Faust is coming here. As we speak, he is on his way. This is the site of our glorious last stand and the turning of the tide. And when he arrives, I wouldn't want to be you.
So yeah, Rayna has a 3-hit combo if she's just standing still, a slightly different one if you're pressing in a direction. It gives her a little bit of velocity in that direction, and has a little bit less power, but also a little bit less kickback, because, you know, if she hits something solid, she gets bounced back up just a little bit, not a ton. Rayna's getting more capable. One of the early dilemmas in the game is that Rayna has a sword, and a lot of her opponents have guns, so closing that distance is more a problem to solve. And honestly, the reasons for that were actually mostly story-driven, rather than mechanical. Mechanical felt either could work, but I like the idea that no matter what, Rayna has to go towards the source of danger. It just ties in a bit better with what we're trying to say. This is a story about regret, memory, and what-ifs. So this is our first introduction into the core concept of the story and one of the core mechanics of the game. That little drone got incinerated, Rayna just touched it and got warped back to safety, and a little green gate appeared. And the event is happening again before her eyes. You can see she's got that nice little necklace around her neck, where the said laces belong. She's picked up one artifact in the sword as well, which for her is very powerful when she uses it. Rayna has somehow rewound time just a little bit. I describe it as rewinding time. It's going to become much, much more complicated than that. Rayna's jump is so terrible at the beginning of the game. This is modeled off of how high I can jump. I'm gonna dodge, okay. Well, this is where you're supposed to practice dodging. Solid demo. I'm gonna get it on this one. Yep. Okay, part marks. And right in the head. Alright.
We're done.
31 health. We can make it to the next fountain.
You're finished.
You can see that enemy is flashing red. In a lot of games, enemies flashing red means they're taking damage. True. Or they're more vulnerable. Sometimes true. We'll get to that later. Okay, cause and effect puzzle 2. Rayna knows if she touches those crystals that incinerate anything that touches them, she might reappear. She needs to get to that gate on the left, but she needs to scan her card here first, and she will not be able to get out. There's no ladder. So... she has gone back to before she scanned her card, but her card has stayed scanned. She's not actually moving back through time. She's going back in her memory, except if you've ever asked yourself or thought to yourself, man, if only I knew then what I know now, I'd do things differently. Well, let me tell you, I made a video game. Every time. I made a video game about that. Yeah, this game's gonna explore cause and effect. That's a glorious miss. Sweet demo of the F combo, Dave. Alright. This is our final demo to try explaining the resist mode enemies go into, so I actually physically represented the damage she's doing. You can see just, well, it's red. It's varying degrees of damage resistance enemies get. And some of them don't turn red at all, but generally speaking, you have to back off them, because I don't like video games where enemies are completely unaffected by you hitting them. If you get clubbed with a sword, or sworded with a club, either, you should recoil a little bit. Alright. We can finally jump. If you've played a new Super Mario Bros. Game, we get a little bit of an air dodge as well, which can add a little bit of hang time to our jump. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit now. So, just to speed up the exploration process, we'll zip ahead to where we need to go next. Down into the depths. She can jump up, so we immediately use that power to jump down to a place that is way beyond her jumping ability to escape. It was really important to me that the game have really good movement. Rayna starts with a really limited pool of abilities. She can walk and she has a really terrible jump, but it's gonna grow and grow and grow. The next two artifacts in particular are really gonna emphasize that, and that's gonna create sort of her base move set for the entire game. Most of what I'm showing is from the first biome, the first tutorial area, but as she gets more and more artifacts, her move set, both in terms of attacks and mobility, will go up every single time. She can really have them flow from one into the other. I was really inspired by games like Mega Man X and Celeste, and then your typical Metroidvanias, and I think the movement in the game really reflects that. So we have moves that are punchy and can be done in multiple different orders and woven together, and there's just a really high ceiling for both player skill and expression even. You can have your own style of playing, the sorts of attacks you like to set up and the sorts of ways of getting in close and dodging. This is Otis.
Well, hey.
But Otis likes to go digging for artifacts.
I'm dead tired. Look at that. I haven't seen that sword since I dug it up years ago. That's great. I guess you're here to pick up the artifact?
We're not going to have the full cutscene with him.
You take care, Rayna. I'm going to get out of your way while this thing warms back up, and I'll see you around, okay?
Yeah. Thanks, Otis.
Yeah, not everyone in the game's out to kill Rayna. Narrowing down the exact number is actually an important part of the game. Also, this is a tiny little thing. I cut it out of the cutscene here just to save a little time, but Otis got a little radio call from his friend Zoe, and sometimes characters will have a little conversation in the background, and so you can see he's still talking to her on the radio. And if you walk away, you don't get to see how the conversation ends, but it keeps going on. Those little details will pop up every once in a while. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I'm trying not to spoil anything that wasn't in the demo, aside from maybe a little preview. We've got a little extra at the end. And now that we've got the Ascension Glove, we can do classic wall kicking. Gonna zip ahead a little bit later after we get back out of the depths. Tutorial 3. I just opened that treasure chest, and it had an item in it. Keep that in mind. Kind of a rehash of a puzzle we've seen before. We gotta go down to where we can't jump out to scan this, and now we can open that gate up there. But how will we get out? Well, previously Rayna's jumped into spikes, or death crystals, or whatever you want to call it, to get back to the entrance of a room. We can do it at will. You can do this in almost any room in the game. Note, the treasure chest is shut again. There's no item in it though, it's not glowing this time. It was shut in the moment she traveled back to, but Rayna keeps anything she takes with her, so the contents have disappeared because she's already taken them. If you're thinking, hey Dave, that violates the laws of cause and effect, you're right. So yeah, we'll have some puzzles that help elaborate on some of the mechanics a little bit more. Oh, I nearly dodged all 3 bullets.
We're done.
In the air. And then I took 3 in the chest at close range. This is the Inquisitor. We'll chat with him for a minute.
Care if she told you to maintain the lockdown. I am releasing it, and then I will deal with the intruder.
Unacceptable. Catherine Melzer's orders are absolute.
Catherine Melzer's orders get more erratic by the minute, and that empty head of yours doesn't question any of it. She sends the laborers to do the work of the machines, while the machines are repurposed to do the work of the soldiers, and the soldiers deliver messages to lock her master out in the cold. Truly an inspiring leader.
The spy master insisted.
And?
You would be unwise to defy Spy Master Melzer lest you find yourself.
Oh, please. I'm an Inquisitor. Your kind doesn't intimidate me in the slightest. Eli Faust is coming here, and he will not be in the mood to be locked out of his own fortress.
Skip ahead here. That is just a little example of how the cutscene can play out the first time. We're going to cut to the middle of the boss fight with him now.
Current state,
Sometimes they like to chat in the middle of the
Tell me if I guessed
fight.
correctly about the necklace.
You can't be serious.
I am always serious about my work. Now, did Jericho give it to you?
Just fight!
But my job is to know.
So, he knows what's up with the necklace. Well, no, he knows some of the details. Let's just see what happens here. He's very, very quick. That's his special artifact. Most of the major bosses are gonna die. Most of them have artifacts. All right. Back to the fountain we saved at. Whenever Rayna... There's no lives, there's no dying in this game. The regret device kicks in and warps Rayna back to when she's drinking the healing water, gets her health
I
full.
don't care if she told you to maintain the lockdown.
Which means Rayna has seen this event already, and they haven't.
I expected more.
A little bit less
sympathy from
patient
our
this time
intruder.
around.
Sir?
What are you two waiting for? Do your job and terminate her.
There we go.
You're finished.
Perfect dodge. These enemies are called phantoms. They are, yeah. They're a little tougher than pretty much anyone else in the biome. You can see I got caught being
Let's do
over-aggressive.
this, Inquisitor.
Failed to stagger them
I
when they were in
admire your
resist mode,
directness.
and I got
But
clobbered.
first I must ask.
I'm not here to chat about the necklace.
Yeah, she knows what he's
Boy,
going
the
to
words
say
were even
now.
out of my mouth. Just like Faust.
Weird thing to say.
Very well. I'll give you the fight you seem to long for.
Alright, I'm gonna fight him for real. It bugs me when there's games where enemies don't get staggered by being hit. So if Rayna hits them once, you might be able to get quite a few blows in until they enter resist mode, which will happen when you finish a combo or when you just deal a certain amount of damage. You can see I backed off there because he was flashing red. Later on,
Out of my way.
Given our situation, perhaps you can answer a question or two before the opportunity passes forever.
Over my dead body.
Then I hope you'll keep your word when the moment comes.
there's only ever like a new version of a cutscene the second time because I don't want people like intentionally sandbagging and losing 5 boss fights in a row just to get new content. So there's usually an A and a B version of a cutscene. That said, that's not the only factor that can make it different. Because it's a story-driven game, replayability can be a concern. So, based on random factors determined before you start the game, my Seki's really coming at me, and just how you play it, there's about 36 different ways you could go through the story. And they're not huge differences, but you could get different information. And again, some is under your control, some isn't. Boss defeated.
Well done. You've avenged yourself upon the evil Inquisitor.
You know what he wants to know about.
Do I get a last request?
Jericho gave me the necklace.
Before he attempted to kill Faust earlier today?
I don't know anything about that.
Now you do.
Alright, we're gonna cut ahead. We have pillaged his body. So Rayna's got the dash scarf. Reina Jericho is designed to be a good speed game, and the dash scarf is the beginning of that. And I was talking about how moves flow really well into one another. It all begins here with the dash scarf. Punchy and quick. Again, you can see the inspirations of games like Celeste and Mega Man X on it. Lots of dash jumping and picking your direction in midair and sequencing that with a dodge or an attack. And as you play the game more and more, you'll not just get power-ups, but you also get these minor augments that let you do even more. So yeah, the game is designed to feel really good playing fast. Again, you can sort of mash your way through, and there's lots of accommodations for newer players. We've got things like painless platforming, where you don't take damage from touching platforming obstacles, or you take like 1 damage. There's a passive health regeneration mode you can get, which will regenerate half of the damage you've taken. And then there's like a defense boost, which makes you take 10% less damage every time you die, up to a maximum of 75% damage resistance, just straight up. And then when you beat bosses, it sort of bumps you back down. So it rubber bands the difficulty a little bit. So we've got those sorts of things to take care of the low end, and then the way the controls and the moves work really caters to high-end play. And again, we've got a little bit of precision platforming. Nothing too crazy, but I like a good mix. So I mentioned, Rayna doesn't know what's going on. She's not stronger than anyone. She's not a trained fighter. She's scrappy and resourceful. But she moves very well. Alright, we have to violate the laws of cause and effect here. There's an orb that will open a gate. It blows up when we put it in the first one. Conveniently, we can rewind time whenever we want. This works in basically any room. Any enemies that were dead will be restored because we're going back, but anything we have with us will stay with us. So let's grab this one and take it with us to back before we open this door. Hey. Doesn't matter that the door on the top left is shut now. We've already got the orb from behind it. There's a few puzzle rooms like that. Not a ton, but that room is a metaphor for the entire game structure, and I'm not going to say anything more about that. Alright, the game splits in 3. You want to rescue Jericho? Pick a path. I'm gonna level with you guys. I edited the audio for my commentary for this section several times, deciding on what to say here, and I'm just gonna say nothing. Rayna picks a path. It's gonna lead where it leads. It will impact your experience of the game, and that's all I'm gonna say. Let's skip ahead. This is on the middle path, and there's a couple different areas off of here. I've jumped ahead. I've jumped into a death beam to after we've grabbed the spider grip. I named it that before there was an item called Spider Beam in Metroid Dread. Don't worry about it. Quick note about how I handle progression and items and power-ups and obstacles in this game. Some Metroidvanias will have very specific obstacles with very specific power-ups just for them. So, this block can only be grabbed with this thing. I don't believe in that. Any power-up you get is useful all the time. The spider grip can be used on almost every single surface in the game. It can be used on things that aren't terrain. With a power-up, it can be used on enemies in resist mode to grab them, and then with another artifact Rayna gets, you can like throw them, or you can do a special slash attack. There's all sorts of stuff you can do.
Welcome to the family.
Look, I'm no friend of Eli Faust. I'll be out of your way in a few seconds.
But why would I let you go?
I thought maybe...
You have the regret.
And I'm going to do a couple little skips because this guy's a pretty important character and he's going to drop several massive spoilers.
So, I say it again and for the last time. Give me the regret device.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Unfortunate.
So this is another boss fight. We'll show a little bit. Alright, so I wanted to show this fight because it's a good contrast to the Inquisitor fight that you already saw. The Inquisitor boss fight, alright, well played. It's very high speed, the camera's zoomed in, there's no platforming. Rayna's got the speed now, she's got his dash artifact. Camera's zoomed way the heck out, as we always do in rooms with a lot of platforming, because this is a very challenging arena. If you could ever get close to him, I'm at half health. If you could ever get close to him, Rayna will destroy him, but he keeps teleporting and... Oh, I turned his health off. He's got these slow attacks that really deny the space where Rayna operates best, so he's a really good counter. We also are guaranteed to have the spider grip at this point, which enhances our movement even more, but he's just a very good counter to that. Too slow. Gotta get my act together. Just in the nick of time. No! Use the spider grip to just gain a little more distance away from it before it pulled me in. That's 36 damage if I get hit by that thing. A bit of a whiff there. Because he's got attacks that can overlap nicely. Alright. That's the kill zone. Oh! Alright, let's try this one more time. Because we're fighting him again on the refight cutscene, Rayna was a little bit less patient. And the fight positioning was actually a bit different. Remember the first conversation, I did show the little bit where like he teleports towards Rayna and she jumps away. Well, it's a really tiny detail, but the starting position is, well, we'll just say it's different. Probably a little bit more advantageous the first time around. Attack, relatively easy to dodge, as long as you're not in too close. But it's pretty hard. As does this one. I had a really good start here, though. Spirit grip in. And you can see, again, we're using all the abilities there. That little bit of air dodge prevented us from falling on that. That would have been 21 damage. And we're at good health, but I mean, he can chip away pretty quickly. And yeah, Rayna wins fights by moving better than her opponents, and this is a good showcase of it. Alright, he turtles at the end of the fight, and yeah, he got us with the kill zone attack again. Alright, that's enough. And that's the end of the fight, and I'm gonna cut it here. Because he is, again, a pretty important character, and he's gonna drop some really big spoilers. Got a little bit of a preview of story mode. Because I didn't want to spoil anything, many of the actual story details were omitted, but it's a really big strength of the game, and I think it's going to leave a really big impression on a lot of people. And then lastly, the randomizer I want to talk about. For those of you who are not familiar with randomizers, imagine you're playing a game, and, you know, exploration is a big part, but you know where everything is. But what if we just took all the items and shuffled them around and just had a little bit of programming logic in the background to make sure the game could still be completed? In a way, it would actually make Reina Jericho a more traditional Metroidvania. We're kind of at the confluence of a lot of genres, and you'll recognize a lot of our influences, but also the end thing we've created is very novel. I'm really happy with what we've created. I'm excited to share it with you. I hope you like what you saw, and check it out. Reina Jericho is coming out on Windows PC via Steam and itch.io. It's coming out on Xbox. It's coming out on PS5. It's coming out on Switch. It's coming out on everything. Check it out.